Minshall, and I'm a musician living in Manchester. My musical journey started in school in Ayrshire. I went on to study at Salford, and for the last 35 years, I've been teaching in schools, working with music services and bands, and striving to inspire brass players of all ages in my work with brass bands. I'm delighted to have been invited to put today's session together. Scotland is my second home, and I love every opportunity to come up and work with brass players north of the border. We've all had a difficult few months as COVID-19 has caused such disruption to our daily lives. And for us musicians in particular, it's been especially tough as we have not been able to pursue our music making. The impact on those of us who rely on performances for a living has been quite catastrophic, and it may be some time before we can return to work in the way that we have done previously known. For brass bands, as I prepare this presentation, we are still waiting for some clarity regarding when we might be able to resume rehearsals and normal activities again. As we pause to take stock of where things are up to and contemplate the way forward for our bands, inspiring, recruiting and retaining players will be high up every band's agenda. So I would like to share with you some of the ideas and methods that I've used over the years in the bands and the schools and music services where I've worked. I'm also delighted to be joined today by a number of special guests, friends, students and colleagues who would also like to talk to you about what inspires them and motivates them. 26 years ago, my husband Stephen and myself started the Astley Youth Band in our local village. At that point in time, we had no difficulty recruiting players, as I was teaching brass in a number of local primary schools and high schools. Word spread, the youngsters were making great progress and were having a good time at band rehearsals. They all told their friends, and within a year we had a band of more than 40 players turning up to rehearsal every week. Trying to recruit a new generation of brass players for our training band in 2015 was another matter though. These days, there are so many demands on youngsters and their parents and a huge array of evening activities to choose from. And it was an uphill struggle to get those first few players down to band rehearsal. We had a major breakthrough by holding a summer holiday brass day in July 2015 at a local primary school. A number of the players who came along really enjoyed it and joined the band when we started back again in the autumn term. This gave us a foothold again. More children followed, and before long we had a strong training band once again. Since then, we've held a brass day every summer and sometimes at half term too. And more recently, we've had 2- and 3-day courses, and they've always generated new players for the band. Occasionally, we managed to get a little bit of funding for these events. Maybe that's something you could try with your band.
Hi, my name is Harrison. I'm 13 years old. I live in Manchester with my mum, dad and little sister Emily. I've been playing the cornet for almost 5 years now. I first started playing when my mum signed me up for a brass taster day at school during the summer holidays, where I got to play a baritone, and I enjoyed it so much I wanted to learn an instrument. My dad took me to Astley Youth Band one Thursday night and I decided I would like to play the cornet. I enjoy playing in the training band every week, and I really love to play in concerts and competitions when my family come to watch. It was smashing to make lots of new friends. When Christmas came round, we were playing carols in the church and at the local pubs to raise money for the band to help pay for instruments and music, etc., which was great fun. The very best bit though was when we went on tour to Scotland. We went to Ayr for 4 days and played lots of concerts, and all the children in the band really liked playing together every day. After the tour, I was ready to join the youth band. I was able to take lessons at school at the same time, which helped me to improve, and I started to do my grade exams. At the minute, I am working towards my grade 6, and I'd like to play you a little bit of one of the exam pieces called Tarantella. with Astley Training Band when he was 8 years old and I was just 6, and I liked to listen to him practice. I wanted to have a go myself, but I was a bit shy about joining the band. After the first year of him playing the cornet, the band had an awards night and I went along to see him play. And I made lots of friends, so I decided I wanted to join after all. At first, I played the cornet like Harrison, but after a year or so, one of the tutors thought I would be better off playing a slightly bigger instrument. So I traded my cornet in for a tenor horn, which I've been playing for nearly 3 years now. I really love playing tenor horn and I wish I'd joined the band earlier now. I've also had lessons at school and I play in my school orchestra and also with another youth band, all of which has helped me improve my playing. The more chance I get to play, the better. When I go into high school this year, I will be able to play in the school brass band with my brother if it's allowed during the pandemic. And I'm also studying a piece for grade 6. I would like to play a little bit from the piece called Little Overture. Breathe.
Hello, my name is Mark Green. I live in Manchester and I've been playing in brass bands for almost 5 years now. As a teenager, I played double bass in my local youth orchestra and bass guitar in all kinds of different groups and collaborations, but I had never played brass, and indeed I never so much as blew into a brass instrument for another 40 years or so. I first became interested in banding when my son Harrison, who was 8 at the time, had a brass taster session at his primary school in the summer holidays with Minshall music. He really enjoyed his experience and he asked if he could learn the cornet when he went back to school. I was still in touch with some of my old youth orchestra friends who were involved in our local Astley youth band, and so I contacted them and they invited us along to join in, and Harrison was immediately enrolled into the training band and given a cornet and sheet music to take home to practice. And so it was while I was helping him with the music that I got the bug myself. I bought myself a cheap starter cornet off eBay and quickly picked up the first few rudimentary notes, and before I knew it, I was involved with a brand new venture set up by Helen Minshall and the Astley Youth Band family. Initially it was called Brass Unlimited, but it's now known as Astley Unlimited Band. This fantastic project was perfect for me. As the name implies, the band is fully inclusive and truly unlimited, in that absolute beginners like myself could play alongside experienced and accomplished brass banders, many of whom have been playing pretty much all their lives. The support and camaraderie that the band gives is just brilliant, and very soon I found myself improving really quickly and even being given a flugelhorn to play, but I'm sure that was because Helen just wanted to hide me amongst the more experienced horn section. Where I could do less damage than on front row cornet. While Harrison was learning, I was able to help out with the training band, and it was a very rewarding experience to see him progress. and eventually, after a little bit of persuading, his younger sister Emily became part of the band too. I made lots of great new friends, and after about 18 months of playing, I was invited to join a competing second section brass band on background cornet, and so by now, of course, I was completely hooked in. I currently play with another local brass band where I play back row and sometimes percussion, and my two children are still very much involved with the youth band, which they enjoy immensely. But that's their story.
Learning to play a brass instrument is not something which is limited to the young. You're never too old to start playing or to restart. In 2015, a change in work circumstances allowed the opportunity to start a new project, Astley Unlimited Band, a daytime brass band for adults of all ages who have some free time during the day on a Monday. The band is run under the umbrella of the Astley Youth Band charity, and it meets at our local church on a Monday lunchtime. Members are a combination of beginners, intermediate players who have perhaps restarted after many years, and some very experienced players who have played all their lives. The age range is roughly 21 to 87, and there's a great supportive atmosphere.
Hello, I'm Pauline Clavering and I play the cornet with Astley Unlimited Brass Band. I began playing when my son Jamie stopped playing the cornet to play the euphonium, and around 5 years ago I became one of the first members of Unlimited, which was founded by Helen Minshall. And the people we attracted at that time were mostly people who wanted to learn to play an instrument later in life, and some people were just rekindling a relationship with an old instrument from earlier in life, and others like myself who had already played an instrument simply wanted to learn something new. And so the band began playing easier pieces and gradually moving on to more challenging pieces, which then attracted more experienced players. So we went from playing very simple pieces for children to becoming a full-blown brass band playing old test pieces. So Monday mornings have now become something to look forward to, where everyone of different ages and abilities comes together to make music, and I believe that it helps different people in different ways, not just socially but mentally and physically, and long may it continue, because music doesn't discriminate.
It's vitally important to take expert advice when choosing the right brass instrument for yourself or for your child, just a bit like you would if you were going to choose the right pair of correctly fitting shoes. It's important to keep an open mind and to be guided to the correct size of instrument, rather than just going out and buying any instrument because you like the look of it. When I was at school, like many youngsters, I wanted to play the trumpet. But when I tried it, I couldn't even get a note out of it. And eventually, I was guided to play the tuba, which I was much, much better suited to. Lots of different factors take into consideration choosing an instrument, such as the size and the shape of your lips, your teeth, your general physique, and the size and shape of the instrument. Cornets and trumpets have very small mouthpieces. Tenor horns slightly larger. Baritones, trombones, and euphoniums larger still. And bass mouthpieces are the biggest of all. Here's a short beginner session from my son, Simon Minshall. Simon grew up surrounded by brass instruments, and at the age of 9, he decided that the trombone was his instrument. He went to study at Cheetham School of Music, and then when he was 18, he went down to London to the Royal Academy of Music. He's now a freelance bass trombone player in London, and he's a committee member of the British Trombone Society. He is passionate about inspiring youngsters to take up the trombone, and this video is aimed at new beginners or anyone wanting to find out more about this wonderful instrument.
Hi, my name's Simon. I'm here to talk today as part of the brass beginning session about this fantastic, wonderful instrument, the trombone. Some of you may have seen the trombone before, but if you haven't, this video is just to let you know a bit more about it, also how we start playing, how we're going to approach, and if you would like to learn the trombone, how to find out more information. So, what is the trombone? Well, it's part of the brass family. Maybe the clue in the brass beginning session title might tell us it's part of the brass family, but it is. It's made of complete brass, and we are made up between the mouthpiece, the slide and the bell. Now, when we want to produce a note, you may have learned this from other videos, but when we want to produce a note, we have to take a breath in and blow out. Now, if we just do that, what do you think might happen? Nothing. But that's the really good basis for how we play the brass instrument, any brass instrument, but in this video mostly the trombone. We're going to take that breath in and blow out. Now, when we blow out, what we're going to do is we're going to put our lips together and we're going to try and form a buzz. Now, this buzz is our lips coming together and the air going through and this vibration happening. Now, you may know that sound is vibrations through the air. The same thing with the trombone. We're going to make a vibration here. We're going to blow, the air's going to move through the instrument all along this tubing, all the way down here, all the way up through the bell, and then we're going to, hopefully, we're going to try for our best sound out of the instrument. So we take that breath in. Let's try it on the mouthpiece first. Take the breath in. And there's our note. So let's think about the mouthpiece being the microphone. So when we talk into a microphone, it goes into an amplification system and it becomes louder. It takes that small sound and makes it bigger. Let's think of that the same way. We want to put our really focused sound into the mouthpiece, and we'll try and get our best sound out of the instrument. Let's try that again. We take our breath in and buzz through the mouthpiece. All we do then is the same thing through the trombone. And we try and make our best sound all the time. Now, we're a little bit different to other instruments in the brass family. And you'll probably be telling me why at the screen, but unfortunately I can't hear you. We are different because we have a slide. We change our notes by moving the slide and making the instrument longer or shorter. As we make the instrument longer, the pitch will decrease, it will go down in pitch. The pitch will go down. As we make the instrument shorter, the pitch is going to go up. I'll demonstrate that. The trombone's very good for demonstrating this. So, the more tubing, the lower the sound, the less tubing, the higher the sound. So as you see, as I add length to the instrument, the note gets lower. As I take away that length, make the instrument shorter, the pitch goes higher. Now, we talked about making that vibration and moving the air through the instrument. Now, we want to change the pitch, but not on the slide. We want to do it on our lips because we have different options in different positions, and that's how we get more notes. So, in our first position here, what we're going to try and change the pitch in this position. So what we want to do is move the air that little bit faster. Let's not think about tightening up and getting tense. what we want to do is make that air go faster through the instrument. We can do that by just smiling ever so slightly, not too much, but let's focus on moving that air nice and fast. So all of a sudden, we've started to get more notes out of the instrument just in that first position. I'll talk about positions in a little while, but what I want to think about is our position. So when people say sit up on your chair, stand up properly, it's all relating to posture. Now posture is really important when we play any brass instrument because we have to breathe. If we sit on our chair like a question mark and we try and take a breath in, we can't get all our air in, which means we're not going to make our best sound. So what we want to think about is being nice and relaxed, whether we're sat down or stood up. Nice and relaxed and our shoulders are down. We want to make sure we've got enough room to expand as much as we comfortably can. So we take the instrument in our left hand, like so, if you can see that. There we are, in our left hand. We take our right hand. We use 2 fingers under this beam here. I'll show you like that. 2 fingers under there with our thumb. Let's try not to hold the instrument like a big bunch of bananas. And what we do there, that will give us, make sure we've got a nice nimble slide move. So when we play fast, we can move around the instrument nice and quick. So from there, we're nice and relaxed, our shoulders are down, and we can take that big breath in. And from there, so every time we're trying to make the best sound we possibly can. Now, we talked about changing the notes with the slide. The most fun thing to do on the trombone is... Oh, I forgot I can't hear you. The most fun thing to do on the trombone is always got to be a glissando. But it's a really good practice tool to make us move the air the best way. So you can see I'm changing those pitches with the slide, but also on my lips. Okay, as we practice more, as we get more advanced, as we go on, we start to unlock different parts of the instrument and different pitches. Now, this instrument is a little bit different from your conventional trombone. This is a bass trombone. This is what I like. This is what I specialise in, is bass trombone. Now, we have these valves here. So you know I said that the trombone has a slide rather than valves. We have these little valves here, which on the bass trombone makes it able for us to play lower and gives us more options and more combinations in the lower octave. So it means that we can play a bit lower. Now, we've gone through holding the instrument and our posture. We've gone through how to produce a note. We've talked about how to produce, make the sound, breathing, the slide, the mouthpiece, the bell. The trombone is a very simple instrument, and it's one of the oldest instruments ever. It's from the 15th century. The first trombone really was found in the 15th century. We've got 9 feet of tubing. It's a lot of tubing. If we were to roll this instrument out and lay it all on the floor, it'd be 9 feet long. So maybe it's still a little bit long now, but imagine if it was going all the way down. Now, we've gone through all these things. What is most fun about playing a brass instrument? I'll answer for you. It's in a group. It's in ensembles. It's the most fun you can have. The trombone, specifically, can play in so many different styles. You can play in ballet, in opera, in orchestras, in huge symphony orchestras, as solo instrument. You can play with brass bands and big bands, small jazz bands, anything. anything you really can think of. I love the trombone in trombone quartets and in when 8 trombones are together. I think it makes a fantastic sound, and I've always loved the trombone. But it's the most fun you can have is playing in these big groups, in band, meeting your friends, and generally just having a nice time. But the different styles you can play in, you can start to listen, actually go away and listen to lots of recordings, especially on films, and listen out for the trombones, and you'll hear them really make a difference to certain things. Now with the styles, we can play in a big band style. We also play in opera. So there's so many different styles we can play in. We can play really lyrical music as well. And especially what brass instruments are used for is that loud playing. To get, especially in that film writing, to get that really aggressive noise. If we listen to any like Batman or Superman or Star Wars or any of those things, listen out for the trombones. So I'd like you to go away, listen to music and see if you can hear these instruments, and see if you can hear the difference between the tenor trombones without the valves and the bass trombones with the valves. In the orchestras, we've normally got 3 trombones. In the brass bands, we've normally got 3 trombones. In your band, you might have more. For me, more trombones the better. If you'd like to find out more information, there will be links on the rest of these Brass Beginnings session videos, and there'll be links to take you to where you can find out more about playing and more about learning and getting hold of instruments if you've not already got an instrument at the moment. Another good resource is the British Trombone Society. You wouldn't think we'd have a society, but the Trombone Society, you can get lots of free resources from there, and also resources as a member of that and part of a huge community. And actually, whether you play a brass instrument, any brass instrument, you're already part of this huge community that I love so much, and that's why I love doing it as my job. So, go pick up an instrument, start playing, give it a go. If you've already got one, carry on.
Many children these days start learning to play a brass instrument in full classes, and in English schools these are known as Wider Opportunities projects or First Access projects. One success story which came about from this is 13-year-old euphonium player Layla Scott. Layla started playing at the age of 8 in a full-class brass project at her school, Boothstown Methodist Primary School in Salford, and soon afterwards she joined Ask the Youth Band. Her younger sister Polly was keen to join too, and soon I was visiting their house every week to teach Layla, Polly, their mum Hannah and their granddad Phil. Hannah had taken up the cornet and Phil had taken up the baritone. They weren't brass players in previous times, they were both singers, but they thought they wanted to try something new. So they both joined the Astley Unlimited Band. The youngsters worked very hard through their grades, and in the summer of 2018 they emigrated to Queensland in Australia, the home of their dad Trent. And they both joined Brisbane Brass. They've continued their weekly brass lessons since then online, and they're both going to be taking grade 5 soon. Grandad Phil, now 76, also has weekly lessons online since the lockdown. Here's Polly and Layla to tell you a little bit more.
Hi! So Polly and I moved to Brisbane in Queensland, Australia around 2 years ago. I'm in Year 7, Polly's in Year 6, but we were introduced to brass music at primary school by Helen. She used to come in every week for whole class lessons, but soon after that I went to the local brass band with my sister Polly and we started in the training band. And then after that we did weekly lessons with her and she used to come to our house every week. Even my mum and my grandpa joined the old people's band and they had lessons because through us Helen introduced us to brass music.
We love playing our instruments, so we were really sad when we left the whole band community and Minshall music. When we got to Australia, we tried to find a new brass teacher, but we just wanted Helen. We already did online piano lessons with our piano teacher, our previous piano teacher. So we did that through FaceTime. So we asked Helen if she could do that for us as well, and she didn't hesitate one bit. We now have weekly lessons with Helen and it really works out great, and it's really nice to keep up to date with everybody in England and the whole band community.
Last year we joined Brisbane Brass Band, and earlier this year we went to a really cool music camp that was attended by a lot of students and really experienced teachers. Thanks to Helen's teaching, I got a high school music scholarship, and Polly for the last 2 years has done the last post for Anzac Day and Remembrance Sunday. Even though life is a bit hectic, we love playing our instruments and we get so much out of it.
We feel really lucky to have been at a school where Helen goes to every week and teaches. Otherwise, we would definitely not be where we are with our music right now.
For many of us, banding is very much a family affair. I met my husband Stephen at band practice, my son Simon met his fiancée Kate at band practice, and my daughter Sam met her husband Neil at band practice. So many of our friends belong to families where everyone plays. The social side of playing a band is so much fun, as well as the music, and you can make friends for life and go on some great tours to see different parts of the world. Around 1996, a very talented young Scottish gentleman called Malcolm Wilson arrived on teaching practice at St Mary's High School in Astley, where I was teaching at the time, and I was his subject mentor. A number of years later, he was my daughter Sam's form teacher and music teacher up the road at Fred Longworth High School in Tyldesley, and he's now the head of music at Harper Green School in Bolton, where I'm the brass teacher. Malcolm is also the MD of the Rivington and Adlington Band. He's an incredible musician. He met his wife Helen at band practice, and they have 3 boys who all play brass. He's going to tell you a bit about their musical journey.
Hiya, I'm Malcolm Wilson and I'm going to share a little bit about myself and my banding family.
When I was 5 years old, I started playing the cornet, but now I'm 9. I started on the tenor horn, and then I moved on to baritone when I got older, so because it's a bigger instrument.
Well, my dad's a music teacher and he's been in a brass band all his life, so it was kind of inevitable that I'd come around to playing at some point.
Every Saturday morning I play at Rivington and Adlington Band, and on Tuesdays I have separate lessons at school with Sam Riesbeck from Minshall Music.
So I got started in banding because of Mr. Waddle, my first trumpet teacher, who lived on the same estate as me, and I used to walk past his house every day to go to school, and he'd be practicing his cornet in the kitchen, and then I'd come home at night from school and he'd be practicing his cornet in the kitchen, and every time I walked past his house he seemed to be practicing his cornet in his kitchen. And he was a fabulous individual, and I started having lessons at primary school with Mr. Waddle, and then this is in Jedburgh in the Scottish borders where I grew up, and then I started going to the brass band, Jed Forest Instrumental Band, which Mr. Waddle conducted when I was probably about 10, I think, 10 or 11, and loved it, absolutely loved it. And it was being in the band certainly that made me kind of get hooked into music properly. I just loved being in around the music and hearing the magnificent sound that you got when everybody was at band, even though in those days it was more often there was only about 12 of us there when we were all there. Change days now. The band back home in Jedburgh are doing really well now, and have a fantastic senior band and a learner band and a training band below that, I believe, as well as a drum corps. So change days since I left.
I prefer playing in band because you get the challenge to balance with other players and listen and look at the conductor, and it sounds really good when you all play together.
Playing in a band is much better than playing by yourself because the sound is just so much better. It's the best bit about playing.
Whilst you're at band practice, whilst you wait for everyone to arrive, we warm up our instruments, but when everyone's arrived, the conductor does I play, you play, which is the conductor starts playing a sequence of notes and we have to copy it. But after we've done that, we either carry on playing a piece that we've started, or we play a new piece.
So as time went on and I was still enjoying my music and my banding and having lessons at school. These were free lessons at the time. My parents certainly probably wouldn't have been able to afford to give me lessons at the time. So I felt very lucky that I got free lessons, and I got a brand new trumpet as well, only about 6 months after I'd started. A brand new Blessing trumpet. It was fantastic. But I carried on. I played in band, I played on cornet, and I played on flugelhorn for a time, and I got involved in the regional ensembles through the local music service, and went to the residentials there, and got to know a whole new group of friends through that, and played at a very different level as well, because there was lots of players that were really quite good there. And it was super, and had some really fantastic tuition from the local music service through the residentials there.
So I have played at Germany with Rivington and Etherington Brass Band. I have also played at Windsor Castle with Fred Longworth High School Brass Band. And I've played at pretty much every village in Saddleworth and Tameside with Rivington as well.
Yes, I have managed to keep playing during lockdown. In fact, my whole family have been out, learnt an arrangement and played outside during the clap for cows on a Thursday night.
So nearly 35 years on from when I started playing, banding's still a huge part of my life, a big part of my life. A lot of my friends are banders. I met my wife through banding at Tilsley Band. All my children play, and it's a fantastic thing to be able to play together as a family, and to see others enjoying themselves through your band. They say that band's like another family, and it really is. It's a fantastic thing. getting involved in a band, it's a big thing. Do it. It's fantastic. It makes you disciplined. It makes you work for each other. You learn so many new things, meet so many new people, travel to places that you might never have travelled to before, and experience things that you might never experience. Banding certainly brought me a much richer life, and ultimately it's led to my livelihood as well. I feel very privileged to be able to teach music, and to continue to conduct and to help bring others into the banding family.
Five years ago, I was delighted to be appointed musical director of the Lancashire Youth Brass Band. And what a wonderful time I've had working with these young people and their talented team of tutors. Back in September 2015, there were just 18 players in the band, and we had a big challenge ahead to build the band back up in numbers and in strength. I knew that it was really important to set out a clear development plan to revitalise the band, and to send this plan out to the players and parents with ambitious but attainable goals. These were to take part in the National Youth Brass Band Championships, the National Festival of Music for Youth at Symphony Hall, Birmingham, to go on tour to the Isle of Man, and to take part in some high-profile concerts and events. And these activities appealed to the young players. Word soon got round, particularly with the help of social media. We attracted many new players, and excitement grew as the youngsters themselves spread the word. By summer 2019, when we went on tour to Ayrshire, we had a very strong band of 45 hardworking and committed players. Two of the band's members are Olivia Hurst, aged 16, and her brother Matthew, aged 14. They're going to tell you a little bit about how they got to where they are now.
Hi, my name is Olivia and I play the cornet. I have been playing for approximately 7 years and have just passed my grade 7 exam. I play for two brass bands, Lost.com Memorial Band and the Lancashire Youth Brass Band, who actually last year came on tour to Scotland, so thank you all so much for making it the best week by being so welcoming towards us. I have been playing for Lancashire Youth for 4 years now and have progressed so much since joining on Boston Third Cornet in 2016, to now having moved up to the co-principal cornet seat and having given the opportunity to play principal cornet on tour last year. I feel that there are so many benefits of playing a Lancashire Youth in terms of both playing and socialising. For example, I have made friends for life at band that I would never have met if it wasn't for going to band and playing. I was first given a cornet as part of wider opportunities at primary school in a class of 40, whole class lessons. Without this, I don't think I'd ever have been introduced to brass playing. I enjoyed it so much that when I left primary school, my parents took me along to a local brass band, where I played there until I progressed up and was able to have a seat at a competing band when I moved to Lostock in 2017. In 2016, I started having private lessons with a cornet tutor to progress through my grades, and by July 2018 I passed all my exams up to grade 6. Later on that year, I had top and bottom braces fitted. This created challenges with my playing. At first I lost some of my higher register, my lips would swell and bleed, but by not giving up and keeping playing almost daily, I managed to get my notes back and build a newfound strength in my playing, also without losing my seats at either band. It's not easy to play with a fixed brace on, but if you're determined enough, then you, like me, we can achieve. Some of my favourite memories from band over the last few years have definitely been the tours of Isle of Man and Scotland and the residentials with Lancashire Youth Band, and with Lostock, it has to be winning the areas in 2018 in the 4th section, then going to nationals the same year, and then in 2020 coming second in the 3rd section areas and again qualifying for nationals, which sadly have been cancelled due to the current situation with coronavirus. During the recent lockdown, on a Thursday night when we've been clapping for our carers, me and my brother did 14 weeks of playing outside on the street, while everybody around us clapped, which this included 10 pieces that I had arranged myself for the two of us to play as a duet. In September, I'm looking forward to studying music at A-level and starting to work towards my grade 8 to hopefully fulfil my ambition of becoming a music teacher, with the aim of inspiring future generations' love of music like my music teachers have inspired me.
Hello, my name is Matthew, I am 14 and I play the baritone. I started playing the cornet in September 2014 as part of the council's wider opportunity scheme at primary school when I was in year 4. I started learning in a group of around 40 pupils. I was really enjoying learning so much that when my sister was due to leave primary school and she joined a local brass band, I went along too. In January 2016, the musical director at the band decided that I needed an instrument with a bigger mouthpiece. She suggested I try a baritone. I was going to try euphonium, but I couldn't reach the mouthpiece. This seemed to work well. In March, I started having private brass lessons, and in July 2016, I sat my first grade exam. Since then, I have passed up to grade 6 and currently awaiting my results for grade 7. I joined Lancashire Youth Brass Band in October 2016 on second baritone, but after just a few rehearsals, I was moved up to first baritone and now hold the seat of co-principal. I also play for a third section contesting band, Lostockholm Memorial Band. I joined them on second baritone in September 2017 and progressed onto solo baritone in October 2018. Some of my best memories of brass bands include the residentials at Borwick Hall and the fabulous tours with LYBB to the Isle of Man and in 2019 to Ayrshire. This was an amazing experience. We played in some awesome venues including Culzean Castle and Dumfries House. Everybody was so welcoming and positive about our concerts. With Lostockholm Band, my best achievement personally has to be being awarded Player of the Year in 2019. Whilst playing for Lostock, we have won the 4th section areas, attended the 2018 National Finals in Cheltenham, and have been promoted to the 3rd section. And then this year coming second in the 3rd section, qualifying for the National Finals again. Playing for a youth band and also an adult contesting band is very different. It is amazing for the county youth band as we have a great fun as a group of like-minded young people as well as working so hard on challenging music. During the recent pandemic and lockdown, myself and my sister played outside our house for 14 weeks, so thank you to the key workers, and also to lift the spirits of our neighbours. It was fantastic to be able to use a talent I've been given and worked hard to develop to this standard and entertain my neighbours at such a difficult time. I can't imagine life without brass bands and music, Christmas without carols, and summers without marches. I go to rehearsal at youth band every fortnight during term time for the full day and rehearse with Lostock 2 nights a week. Plus I help with the training band. On top of this, I practice most days. So the spring and summer of 2020 have been very quiet and empty without band.
Well, you've all been sitting comfortably, watching and listening, I hope. And now it's time to do some playing. Olivia, Matthew, Emily and Harrison are going to lead you through some beginner music. These pieces use just 5 notes, C, D, E, F and G. For each piece, Olivia and Matthew will lead a version for the B-flat instruments. That's the cornet or trumpet, the baritone, euphonium and trombone. Then Emily and Harrison will lead an E-flat version of the same tune for tenor horn and E-flat bass.
We are going to play Hot Cross Buns. There's 8 beats introduction, then I'd like you to play along.
play Hot Cross Buns. There's an 8 beats introduction, then I'd like you to play along, and this is repeated 4 times.
We are going to play Let Me Entertain You. There's a 4-bar introduction, then we're all going to join in. We will play each line 4 times.
Now we are going to play Let Me Entertain You. There's a 4-bar introduction, then we're all going to join in. We play each line 4 times.
We are going to play We Will Rock You. The drums will play a 2-bar introduction, then we're all going to join in.
The drums will play an 8-bar introduction, then we're all going to join in.
We are going to play blues. There are 2 parts. You can choose whether you want to play part 1 or part 2. There is a 2-bar introduction. Blues. There are 2 parts. You can choose whether you want to play part 1 or part 2. There's a 2-bar introduction.
Looking back over the years, it's very rewarding to see some of the players who started off at Astley Youth Band making big names for themselves in the music world, and to see others progress to adult bands of all standards, be it championship section or fourth section, and to continue to enjoy playing, whether it be professionally or as a hobby. For some, their first step out into the big wide world has been to get a place at one of the country's conservatoires, and a number have progressed to Manchester's Royal Northern College of Music. One such player is 19-year-old Jamie Clavering, who is about to start his second year at the college. We've already heard from his mum Pauline, and now Jamie's going to tell you a bit about his musical journey.
Hi, my name's Jamie Clavering and I played with Astley Youth Band for 9 years. Originally I started out playing the cornet in the training band at 9 years old, and I had lessons with both Sam and Helen Minshall up to grade 4 when I was told I needed braces. So that was a bit of a setback for me, as I was struggling to play a bit, so Helen gave me a euphonium because it was a bit bigger and easier to play with a brace. And yeah, sort of fell in love with it from there on. While I was having lessons on euphonium, I was lucky enough to be accepted into the Royal Northern College of Music junior school, where I played euphonium as my first study and piano as my second. I still kept up lessons with Helen, but I picked up the trombone as a new skill for my Duke of Edinburgh award I was doing at the time. And obviously we felt this would increase my versatility as a player at the same time. The band's been fantastic for me, given me loads of great playing opportunities and a bit of conducting experience with the training band. I played solos on 2 of the band tours, which was lots of fun and helped me build some confidence as a soloist. My favourite was probably Culzean Castle in Ayr, where they happened to fire the cannons on the castle wall right in time with the music at the end of my piece I was playing. So that was nice, and certainly a memory I'll remember. I'm grade 8 euphonium now, and trombone, grade 8 trombone. I'm also grade 7 piano, and that allowed me to get into the Royal Northern College of Music in September last year, and I'm now doing a music degree with them. I'm being taught by some of the world's best musicians at my instrument, such as Stephen Mead, Dave Thornton. We've also done masterclasses with David Childs. Unfortunately, it's all online at the minute due to the pandemic, but I definitely owe a lot to Astley Youth Band for getting me to where I am today.
We're very fortunate at Astley Youth Band to have a wealth of experience in our tutor team, and one gentleman who has brought much to the band in the last 15 years or so is Toby Hobson, who is the current musical director of the youth band. Toby is a former member of the bass section at Foden's band, and he works full-time as a brass teacher for Bolton Music Service. Young brass players love Toby. He has a real way with them, and he has remarkable success with recruiting and retaining players. Here he is to tell you a little bit more about this.
Toby Hobson. I've worked with Helen for getting on for 15 and 16 years now. She was my boss at the Bolton Music Service, and I fairly quickly became involved with the Ashley Youth Band, helping out here and there, coaching, and now I'm actually the conductor of the Ashley Youth Band and play a fairly big role in that organisation, which is ever growing and a really fantastic thing. Helen has just asked me to talk a little bit about my, I suppose, ethos might be the word, about teaching. So I've written down a sort of a couple of key things. First thing, recruitment, which I think is becoming a little bit harder these days for many reasons, I think, and actually no one can talk about the actual recruitment side of kids more than Helen Minshall, because she is a force of nature when it comes to getting them in. Anyone who knows a little bit about teaching knows that once you get going with the lessons, then the trouble can begin. All the extra strains on them with school, and then the dreaded playstations, etc. It's very, very, very hard to keep the trail of kids coming through like we used to do. The way I see teaching is the kids often boil down to sort of 3 levels. Now, for want of a better word, I've called level 1 the plodders, which is probably not. Those are the sort of kids that like turning up to lessons, and they like having a play. Some probably like turning up to lessons to get out of the other lessons. We all know that. I think the main thing with those type of kids is to have fun with them. Have a bit of fun. Maybe take away some of the more challenging things from them, like reading music. Maybe do a lot more improvisation with them. Or why don't you think about maybe doing tunes without music, catchy little tunes that you can do with backing tracks. It's something that basically they can take home and play to mum and dad and say, look what I've been doing. So I'll just give a very, very brief example. When forming an embouchure, I will say to my kids, right kids, who's seen the mum painting the nails? And I'll get the funny looks. And then I'll say, how do they do that? And then a lot of them will have a go at it. But I'll say, but if you watch your mum very carefully when she paints her nails, she'll do this. There's your embouchure. So I think sort of quite cute ways like that of just making things a little bit simpler can be really good. I also have quite a lot of fun with them. I'll have stupid names for rhythms. I'll compose entire lyrics for songs. I would sing my favourite dinner, fish and chips, my favourite dinner, fish and chips, and all these stupid words. The governor, stick it up your woolly jumper. The next level is the kids that need to be pushed a little bit, because there is something there. There is some talent there, but they're fundamentally a little bit lazy. And I think concentrating on the reading a little bit more is a good thing to do with those, and the exam system can really help with those, because it gives them something to aim for, and it puts them under a little bit of pressure, puts parents under a little bit of pressure as well, because if they've paid for that exam, the parents will be then saying, get some work done. The next level up is the talent, and I would like to think I'm pretty good at spotting talent. I've spotted quite a number of really, really good players over the years, and I've spotted them at a young age, and I know that there's something in them, and I actually know there's something in them before they play a note, and that might sound a bit pretentious, but I'm a firm believer that you can see it in kids' eyes when there's talent there, or the drive to do it. That's the important thing. And kids who have got a bit about them, if you look carefully, I feel they'll rarely take their eyes off the music, and when they're playing, you can see just a different level of concentration. Now, that at a beginner's stage, they're only playing beginner's music, but I still think it's there, and I think you watch really carefully, the talent will announce itself to you, and then it's up to you then to grab hold of that talent and put your efforts into him, put it into the child. A few of the things that I think about with the talent: practice. how to practice. I think it's very well a teacher saying to a kid, just go and practice. But you've got to explain to them how to practice, and more importantly, why we practice, what we're doing. So it's all very well just saying, we'll just play some long notes. But if the kid doesn't know why they're playing the long notes, then what's the point in that? So you've got to explain to them that, you know, we're doing our long notes so you can listen to your tone, so you can build your embouchure, so you can start listening to a little bit of tuning. The next thing I would say with a talent is family contact. I make a point of the ones who I've got a bit about them of building relationships, can't talk, with their families. Very, very, very important, because you need that little conversation once or twice a month to say they're doing really well. Maybe a little bit more of this, or whatever you're doing, getting them to band. And this goes from the level below as well. Get them to band. Kids love doing things as a group, and band, probably more than any other musical ensemble as far as I'm concerned, chucks the most amount of notes at kids. You can sit in an orchestra, and that's great, and I'm not dismissing it, I mean, at all. You know, I played in orchestras myself. But brass bands, you have notes galore coming at you, and even a humble third cornet part can be like an Arban study sometimes. Get that sort of social circle and them wanting to do well together. They learn off each other as well. Is knowing when it's time to say goodbye with the talent. And that sounds a bit daft, but especially when you're teaching an instrument that isn't your instrument, they will get to a point, and I usually find that point is when they're better on that instrument than you. It's probably then time for you to say, go and see them, because good players need to hear good playing. So sometimes it can be a bit of a pride thing, and I get that, I do get that, but you've just got to be sort of tough enough to say, go on. And then it's up to you to find the right person for them to go to, and mix the right character of person for the teacher that you're going to send them to. There's no point in sending a big bubbly kid to a teacher who's very and vice versa. So that's really important as well. You know, we all know the kind of places that the real talent can go to. So, you know, for me, it would be, you know, go and get taught by her or him. And then it would be, have you thought about the junior RNCM? And if they're really good, like I've got a couple coming through at the moment who are going to be very, very special, go and have a word with Chet's. And you just don't know what can come of that. So, but that's at the high end of playing. But I suppose my overall ethos when it comes to teaching is fun, get down at the kids' level, always prepare to have a good laugh with them. And if they've not practiced, well, you know, you don't have to sort of lay into them. Do it in a jokey kind of way, and just try and coax them along a little bit more. I think kids can quite easily can just say goodbye now. And that's it. If they're not enjoying it, they will go. Simple as that. So I suppose that's my sort of overarching ethos. I know I've prattled on a little bit too long, but I hope it gives you something to go at. Some of it you might not agree with, but I don't care. Okay, right. So best of luck with everything, and I hope it all this works out that you're doing with Helen. It sounds like it's a great project that you're trying to achieve with some great ideas. Okay, all the best.
One of the things I love most about my work these days is the freelance aspect, which gives me the flexibility to do one-off projects and to travel to different parts of the UK, particularly Scotland, delivering one-off workshop days in schools, sometimes on behalf of bands. And I'd like to share some of these with you to give an idea of what I can offer to your band. In 2015, I spent 2 days travelling around all the primary schools in Dunmellington and Patna with my mobile set of instruments, delivering presentations on behalf of Dunmellington Band to help to launch their new brass academy. This was followed up by a series of sessions delivered by the young adult members of Dunmellington Band, which sparked a whole new generation of brass players. We've since done a follow-up 2 years later, which engaged a few more players, and I enjoy coming up to work with Dunmellington Brass Academy each year at their summer school. I'm a regular visitor to the island of Arran. I've delivered a workshop in Arran High School on behalf of Arran Brass, And in 2018, I worked with the Air Salvation Army Band to deliver a series of workshops to help recruit new players for them. Last September, I spent a really fun day at Hardgate Primary School in Castle Douglas, delivering a brass and samba day. Every child in the school had the opportunity to play a brass instrument. I delivered a project last November on behalf of Kirkintilloch Band and had a very enjoyable day with Peter Fraser and John Boakes, visiting several primary schools in the town, where the youngsters had the chance to try out a selection of different instruments and engage in large group activities. In January 2020, I was invited to lead a beginner session on behalf of Colburn Band at their open day, which worked really well, and fingers crossed it'll be going ahead once more in January 2021. It was great to work with Gareth Bowman and all the team there. If this is something you'd like for your school or your band, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'm always happy for any excuse to come up to Scotland and to work with the SBBA to ensure that the fine traditions continue for generations to come. Lockdown has presented challenges for us all. We've delivered Zoom rehearsal sessions for all our Astley ensembles and for Lancashire Youth Brass Band. These have helped us to keep connected to all our players at this difficult time. And several recording projects have been put together, which have kept everyone's spirits up. At Astley, we even managed to have an online prize-giving evening with trophies to follow as soon as we're able to. Here are some of the things we've been doing with Astley during lockdown. Lancashire Youth Brass Band, we've had a number of rehearsals on Zoom, and we've also put 2 recordings together of Sladeburn and Loch Lomond. By sending my very best wishes to all my Scottish banding friends. As you're watching this, I hope to be enjoying a weekend on Arran, which is one of my favourite places in the whole world. Let's hope it won't be too long before we can all return to our bands and to get the music making underway again. And I really look forward to coming back up to Scotland to work with you all again sometime soon. I hope you've enjoyed this session and that you can make use of some of the ideas as we all look forward to new brass beginnings.